Welcome, students. I'm excited. This is kind of our first lesson, and I want to give you a couple of pieces of advice. Have paper ready, like a notebook. It'd be best to have like a notebook so that each page may be a new lesson, and you could add the notes to it, so that same notebook. Multiple colors of pens. So if you can have, if I just hold these up, I've got a green and a different colored pen and a blue or something. I would have a couple of different colors of pen, kind of highlight key ideas. You'll see that I'll use color as I give my lecture here, okay? But that'll help you remember things and make it more visual. All right, I'm going to try to make this brief, so I'm going to jump into this right away. We're going to talk today about how to add fractions. So we take a look at this here, my little lesson here. I've got on the screen here that there is a rule when you're adding fractions, okay? The rule is, and you can freeze this, by the way, at any point, and you can just, you don't have to worry about, having enough time so you can freeze it. So, but the rule is that when you're adding a fraction, you just line up the decimals, okay? That is my rule, is to line up my decimals, okay? And then add, okay? So let me give you an example. If I had 2.46 plus 0.005 plus 16, and they asked me to add all of those up, okay? Let me help you out with that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go 2.46, make that up, and then I'm going to have 0.005, so that's 0.005, and then I'm going to have 16. You'll notice in a whole number like this 16 here, the decimal is always just assumed to be right here, okay? In a whole number like $16.25, okay? You'd put the decimal there. So I would have 16 here, point, okay? And then what I can do is stick the decimal down in my answer here. So let's see how it's all lined up here. If I like draw this little thing here, I've got all my decimals lined up. So when you're adding and subtracting your decimals, that's what you're gonna do. So I'm gonna add these up real quick and do the math, and there I go, 18.465, okay? So that's the rule. If I gave you another example, I've got the second problem down here, 9.043 plus 0.27 plus 15. I'm gonna go 9.043. I'm gonna make sure my decimal's there. 0.27, I'm lining up my decimal here. And then 15, the decimal's assumed to be right here at the end. And then I'm just gonna put the decimal in the answer, and then I would just add it all up, okay? All right, let me move on to my next slide here real quick, just for the sake of time. Let me just give you a couple practice problems if you wanted to take a picture of this and then practice on your own. The first two right here are practice problems that you can use and to add up decimals and to see how you do on your own. And then the next one is like a story problem. I want to give you an example of a typical story problem. Find the total weight of 3 cartons that weigh 4.2 kilograms, 2.37 kilograms, and 0.545 kilograms, okay? I'm going to change my color here for a second here on my pen here. And one thing I want you to pay attention is in story problems, when they ask you for the total, they're usually asking you to add, okay? Or it's possible you could be multiplying on occasionally. But often when they ask for the sum, these are keywords for this kind of idea. The sum or the total or all together, if they say something like that, those kinds of words, you might want to write them down in a story problem. They also often mean to add something up. So what I would do is if they've got these 3 different weights of cartons, I would go 4.2, and then I got 2.37, and then this one right here is 0.45, and I want to really encourage you, before you do anything, put the decimal down here so they're all in a row, and then add them all up. The second problem, actually that's a subtraction, so we'll kind of stop for there. So that is how to add fractions.